What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Retro Cup once again, and MAGCARGO in particular, because MAGCARGO has a really unique typing in this cup that actually walls, well, not walls, but it does wall JUMPLUFF, kind of, if it's not running Energy Ball. Energy Ball is neutral, but it also kind of walls FURRET, because FURRET has a normal type move, which is resisted on rock, and then grass, which would be resistant on fire, but because it's also have rock, it's actually neutral. But it has two really good matchups into two of the main meta Pokemon, and then we're just supporting it with a Leavanny and a Shadow Annihilate in the back. Leavanny and MAGCARGO make a great core together. They cover each other's weaknesses very well, and then an Annihilate as your safe swap. So without further ado, let's hop into some battles. All right, MAGCARGO, let's see what you've got. Oh, okay, absolutely terrible lead. We are ABA weak to rock. So you know how I just said they make like a perfect core with each other? Yeah, okay, there's one problem with it. It's you're ABA weak to rock, which isn't great that we see it on the lead in our very first match, but we're kind of forced to just play this out. Drill Run is double super effective, rollouts are only single super effective. So what I tried to do there is I tried to wait the turn and then catch a Drill Run, which would be double resisted on Leavanny, but my opponent held on to their energy, and they do connect with a rock slide. However, they're staying in this matchup, and now I have enough energy to go for a Leaf Blade, which will actually get the knockout on my opponent, but they have another normal type in the back in FURRET, so now I'm already reading this team is probably triple normal. Like, why would you have a normal type Dunsparce, which has no play into fighters, and then have a FURRET in the back? It just doesn't make sense. So I'm reading triple normal. So let's get ramping on these counters. I do manage to get a nice catch onto my MAGCARGO. I believe this is only enough for a Swift. Yeah, so didn't really need to do that because Swift was double resisted on my Annihilate. But no, they're not triple normal, but they are triple weak to Annihilate. So once we grab that shield, this game is pretty much over. I let this go. I just leave my shield for Annihilate, and then I just take one. They are on cross chop. But here comes the first Rage Fist. They're single debuffed at this point, so I can definitely let this go. They're now back to normal because they went for the Rage Fist, and that's fine. They are net 0 now, and I have no shield, so now they have to make it to 2 more, and they realize they're not getting there. They try and go for a catch, but they're not going to get to 2 moves. So my opponent just resigns the match. Okay, into the next match we have another terrible lead. Okay, what are we going to do here? We're going to safe switch into our Leavanny, which is a bit of a risky play because we are ABA weak to Jellicent. Both Annihilate and MAGCARGO don't want to see this, so switching your hard answer is never the answer. But my opponent is actually also ABA weak to Grass, so fortunately Leavanny core breaks my opponent's team a little bit. They do have an Ice, but they actually let that go. But at this point, I am going to actually shield this up because I think I can at least either grab a shield back or put it in farm down range for one of my Pokemon in the back. And I am able to grab a shield and throw on CMP, which means they'll be energy dry. So now I can come in with MAGCARGO, get a nice Incinerate head start, and we have a shield advantage here. So although they make it to a double super effective Surf, all I have to do is shield this up. And now I can just go for 1 in the move, which is good timing. 5 turn versus 2 3 turns, which is 6 turns. We can now connect with a Rock Tomb, which means now we should be able to live a Surf. It is double super effective, so it puts us deep into the red. But we're once only 1 away from a Rock Tomb. They end up going for a Rock Tomb catch onto their FURRET, but I held on to my energy and I come in with an Annihilate, which is huge because now I can get a full farm down of the FURRET, come out with a super effective Rage Fist for the Jellicent. So even though we were ABA weak to Jellicent, able to take this win. Two bad leads that we were ABA weak to, and somehow we won both of them. No idea what's going on. But finally, we're gifted with a good lead. Pidgeot, they safe switch into a Diggersby, and we have a fantastic response in Annihilate. They can go for a Scorching Sands, Fire Punch. It's all neutral damage, and 1 is non-threatening. These quick attacks are resisted, so all I have to do is overfarm. I would have played to a CMP tie on a Fire Punch had they thrown it, but they did overfarm. It does force me to go for a close combat, but we do get the knockout. However, that lowers our defense, which means this Pidgeot is going to get less farm. They do unfortunately get 2 Gusts through, but they're completely walled by MAGCARGO. All of their energy is flying type charge moves, so I'm just going to come in with MAGCARGO, and they have a Swampert in the back. Now this could be tricky because Swampert does have access to Sludge. However, Leavanny does have a pacing advantage, and while I'm not sure who wins CMP in this matchup, which is why I'm throwing 1 before they get to the next charge move, I can at least grab 2 shields from my opponent, and that will at least force them to throw their energy as soon as they get it. And I actually am able to throw on CMP, which means this charge move will connect and they will be virtually energy dry, so I let that go. But unfortunately, Sludge puts me in perfect double mud shot farm down range. However, I do not believe my opponent is at back-to-back moves, so I can shield this up, wait the turn to make sure I see the mud shot go through, which I do, which means I can instantly throw the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is enough to KO the Swampert, and now we're just in a zero shield scenario against a Pidgeot. They know they need to make it to a Brave Bird, and they're not getting there before I get to another Rock Tomb. So my opponent is going to get outpaced, and we are able to take that win. Okay, MAGCARGO into Blastoise. Another terrible lead for the MAGCARGO. So safe switching into our Annihilate, and we do bait out a Grumpig. Now, obviously, this is not a great matchup for the Annihilate, so we've lost lead and lost switch. However, our opponent gives us a shield right away with the Rage Fist. Maybe after seeing how much these counters are doing, and then they make a critical error. They end up throwing on CMP instead of 1 before, and then they let it go. So my opponent making all the wrong plays, and yeah, after that, there's no coming back, so they just resigned the match. Okay, 3 bad leads. Oh, finally, we get another good lead. This is like the best lead imaginable. They safe switch into a Kecleon of all things. This is a Sucker Punch Kecleon. What does this thing learn? Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Foul Play, Flamethrower, everything under the sun. Yeah, there's the Ice Beam. That connects, and that actually puts me in farm down range. I could have gone for a close combat here, but I'm expecting my opponent to shield, and they actually don't, which is crazy. So they live that on 1 HP. However, I will still get a full Incinerate's worth of energy, and they have a Furret in the back. So unfortunately, they have changed the alignment, and now my Leavanny is on their Talonflame, which isn't great. So what I need to do is I need to double shield my MAGCARGO here and then come out loaded with energy, and that's exactly what I plan to do. I do throw the Rock Tomb right before they get to their next Trailblaze in case they want to get this charge move off. That way they're forced to expend a shield, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But now I can shield this up because now I can just go for a Rock Tomb. I can click the move right away. Looks like my opponent was denied an Incinerate, which honestly feels really bad because you never like to deny your opponent. But either way, I'm able to make it to a Rock Tomb. I believe that would have been a CMP tie, and they would have had to full send a Brave Bird if they had it. And I don't know if because I would have outpaced then to a Leaf Blade, but it's double resisted. I don't know, it would have been a close battle. But into the next match, we have a MAGCARGO into a Grumpig, and they safe switch out of that matchup for some reason, which would be normally a good matchup, into the Furret, which is a bit of an interesting play. The Furret does connect with a Trailblaze, and then they are just going to go for another charge move here. I'm just going to shield this up because I want to maintain switch, and at least that way I can connect with a Rage Fist on their Grumpig. Is their Grumpig going to come back in? Let's see. They're waiting. That is the Grumpig. Sidewave does go through. We saw it go. So here comes a super effective Rage Fist. While we don't grab that shield back, we do pretty massive damage. And now we can just align our Leavanny here. And our opponent safe switches another Kecleon. What is this? Why are people using Kecleon? I guess it's just another Sucker Punch user. You know who I would honestly use instead of Kecleon? Furfru. Where is that Pokemon? That Pokemon was the GOAT back when this meta first came out. And then for some reason they let that go. I'm just going to let this go as well because Foul Play will not do much damage after they're debuffed. And at this point, yeah, I can just let this go because I'm pretty sure I can just farm them down with Shadow Claws before they can get to 2 charge moves here. So yeah, this game is already over. My opponent just doesn't know it yet, so we will take that win. MAGCARGO into JUMPLUFF. Yes, another good lead. This is about as good as it gets. Hopefully they're on all flying moveset. They safe switch into a Furret. You kind of get the picture of where this team came from. this was the same team. I saw it over and over and over and over and over. I saw FURRET on every team. I saw JUMPLUFF on like nearly every team, Grumpig on nearly every team. I was like, you know what? Hard counter. Here we go. Read the meta. That's really what you got to do if you want to climb. So they do come back with a JUMPLUFF. I am going for a Rage Fist, which is resisted. I mean, a Close Combat, which is resisted instead of a Rage Fist. Not really sure what would do more damage, but my opponent doesn't know I don't have Ice Punch, so they actually shield that up. And then it's an Arctibax in the back. And while I could have just stayed in with my MAGCARGO, this does force them to throw their energy as soon as they get there. And they end up baiting with a Dragon Claw, which is a pretty big mistake for my opponent, in my opinion, unless they're going for a farm down because they want to come out with an Icy Wind loaded. But we actually connect with the X Scissor, which means this game is over. They do make it to a charge move here. I'm going to shield this up because Dragon Claw is at least neutral, whereas everything on the JUMPLUFF is resisted. And they actually go for an Icy Wind, which is a nice play. But now I can connect with a Rock Tomb, and now both of us are debuffed. So what are you going to do now, bud? Yes, you have a shield advantage. Let's see. Do you also have Energy Ball? Doesn't matter. How about another Rock Tomb? Because how about your defense is, I mean, your attack is super lowered. So now whatever charge move we get to is going to do nothing. Let's see. Are they on Energy Ball? Because this could be scary if they are, but no, they are on Acrobatics, Aerial Ace as they throw the Acrobatics. This, even if this is a second Acrobatics, it will not be enough to KO because they overfarmed way too much and allowed me to get to another Rock Tomb. So we are able to take that win. Kit Kat in the next match. Good lead. MAGCARGO into Pidgeot. We've seen this lead before. They safe switch into a Diggersby. Is this the exact same team? Is this what the other team was, or was it a FURRET safe switch? I don't remember. But either way, we're able to respond with our Annihilate. I believe this is the same team because I overfarm here. I'm going to play to a what would be a CMP tie with a Fire Punch, going for the close combat. My opponent does let that go, and that is enough to KO. In comes the Pidgeot, and we're unable to make it to a charge move, which is fine. We can come back with MAGCARGO. There's a point to be made that maybe you shouldn't even throw the Incinerate, but see, this opponent does throw the Gust before, maybe anticipating me to instantly switch, and they have a Marowak in the back, which is honestly fantastic, and it's not the Alolan, which is great because these Mud Slaps are double resisted. Even if they go for a bait here, it doesn't matter. I always have a pacing advantage. There's nothing my opponent can do to outpace Leavanny. So double resisted Mud Slaps, where are you going to go with this one, bro? They end up just letting that go and going for farm on their Pidgeot, which is a nice play. I somehow don't get a Leaf Blade in there, even though it's 5 versus what should be, or 5 times, which 10 turns versus 12. So I'm not really sure how that works, but I am able to then come in with my MAGCARGO, able to get to a Rock Tomb, and even though we didn't get that extra chip with the Leavanny, we should be able to survive any one charge move, even if it is the Brave Bird. And it is, but that connects, doesn't do that much damage, to be completely honest, for a nuke. But it is resisted and debuffed. So here comes the Rock Tomb, able to pick up the knockout, and we're able to take that win. Give me another good lead, please. Oh, yes. See, MAGCARGO does have good leads. It has terrible leads, but it also has good leads. They end up safe switching into a Swalot, and I do not have a good answer for Swalot. You could argue that MAGCARGO is my best answer, and that is the case. But I want to keep my MAGCARGO aligned against the Abomasnow. I mean, looking back, I would probably stay in with my MAGCARGO against Swalot because all of their charge moves are resisted, right? Ice Beam and Sludge. Whereas I can just align my Annihilate there against the Abomasnow and have a good matchup as well. Whereas this one, I have to fight for switch. And I can come out boosted with a charge move loaded, so it might be worth it, but overall, a bit of a risky matchup here. But we are able to get to the close combat, which is massive because this will do huge damage if they do not shield. My opponent might not be expecting it, and yeah, there's the nuke, and it's a Toxapex in the back. So this is going to be rough. We're just going to go for the Rock Tomb right away because we want to debuff our opponent's attack. It's not on the best timing, but that's okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait 4 turns and catch a Brine resisted on my Leavanny. I don't know if you all just saw that, but I literally just sat there for 2 poison jabs and then caught on my Leavanny, and my opponent has had enough, so they just resigned the match. That was like my favorite battle of the video, so you can click off now. No, I'm kidding, but fantastic lead in the next match. We've got Talonflame into our MAGCARGO, and my opponent is staying in. This is beyond me, so I'm over farming here because how are you this weak? They do go for a Brave Bird and Dip strat. I could have chipped maybe with a Rock Tomb, but now I have back-to-back Rock Tombs loaded. So even if I let this go and lose Switch, it's not the end of the world, because then I can maybe just get a head start on Leavanny. And so what I end up doing is I throw the Rage Fist on the CMP tie with their Swift, and that does pick up the knockout. And I'm also able to get to a Rage Fist. I think that's because they got one turn lag when they came in, which is unfortunate. But my opponent shields, which is a terrible mistake because they're aligning against my MAGCARGO anyways. They then catch the Rock Tomb onto their Superior, which is a nice catch, but I have Leavanny in the back, which double resists the Vine Whips and has a pacing advantage. Or not the pacing advantage, but we pace the same. X Scissor, Aerial Ace, but we win CMP. My opponent makes a nice play, and they let that go to get farm on the Talonflame. But that doesn't matter, because all I have to do is come in with my MAGCARGO. I have a Rock Tomb and 2 shields, so there's nothing my opponent can do in this matchup. They realize that. Actually, they have no shields, so it doesn't matter what they realize. But we are able to take that win. But yeah, this was me just reading the meta, seeing that so many teams were weak to MAGCARGO, and even though it's ranked like 200 something, I thought it had play in this meta, and it absolutely does. And I'm definitely not the only one to figure this out, because I saw a lot of MAGCARGOs out the day after I recorded these battles. I recorded these battles maybe 4 days ago at this point. Yeah, it's been a bit. Or 3 days ago, whenever like the second day of the Retro Cup was on. But if you want to make this team a little bit better, I mean, to be honest, Annihilate was kind of underwhelming. You could just do JUMPLUFF for Leavanny and Hack Mo-O for Annihilate, and this team is chef's kiss. Like, it's good stuff. But this is the team I ran with. It was a lot of fun, and you could also run Glisspot or Feraligatr in place of Leavanny as well. Any of those would function as a safe swap. Even Grumpig, like, you know, like, this team is pretty versatile. This cup is on for a whole week, so get comfortable with the team. I'll have another one coming with a cool pick that I haven't seen anyone else showcase, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.